Welcome to the messy middle of entrepreneurship, unfiltered and unapologetic. Uncensored Entrepreneurs, hosted by Starr, Robert Wall, and Tina Torres-Wilson, brings you real stories from the trenches of building a business. Those late nights, hard lessons, big wins, and everything in between. This is where the truth about entrepreneurship lives. No fluff, no filters, just raw, honest conversations with founders who have lived it. So, if you're over the highlight reel and you're ready for the real deal, hit play. Welcome to another episode of the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. Today, we have a truly special guest, Jordan Adler, the best-selling author of Beach Money and a legend when it comes to network marketing. If you've ever wanted to discover how you can have beach money lifestyle and work from anywhere in the world, then this is an episode that you won't want to miss. So stay tuned and we'll see you on the inside. So I'm really excited today. Jordan's journey is one of resilience and transformation. And after struggling for 10 years and failing in 11 different companies in which he never signed up a single person or made a dime, hopefully that's a correct statement, he finally was able to crack the code on the 12th opportunity. So now he's here to share exactly what shifted in his life and business, what he learned, and how you too can break through your own personal barriers and to create the life of your dreams. So without further ado, Jordan, welcome to the Uncensored Entrepreneurs.
Robert, it's great to be here. Tina, nice to see you. Starr, this is great. Thank you.
Oh my God. You know, many people would have given up after, most people after that first dive into business, and they don't sign up a single person in a month, right? They're like, I'm done. It's not working for me. We're not doing this. Network marketing sucks. But not Mr. Beach Money himself. He just kept going and persisted. So Jordan, what was your drive behind like the first fail, the second fail?
Yeah.
What were you
doing? So I picked up a book at a garage sale when I was in my 20s that was called The 10 Napkin Presentations. It's been out of print for many years. It's been rewritten a bunch of times. Don Failla wrote it. Failla. It was 25 cents. I read the book and I was young. I was probably 19 years old. And when I read the book, it taught me about two concepts that I'd never heard before in any of my schooling. And one was leverage and the other was residual income. And they got my attention. And so I started, without any training at all, I just started looking for opportunities that paid residual income and had an opportunity to create leverage, leveraging time, leveraging money. And because I saw it as a ticket to freedom. The truth is, I didn't want to work. And I thought if I worked really hard for a number of years, then I wouldn't have to work for my life. And I know work is an important thing. Work makes us feel fulfilled, but I didn't want to work. And so I thought if I put in 3 or 4 or 5 years, I wouldn't have to work anymore. And so I loved the idea of it. I had $250 that I got as birthday gifts and a guitar in a suitcase. And I moved to Arizona to practice landscape architecture. I had a degree in landscape architecture. But while I was there, I started answering ads for opportunities that would produce residual income. And I had no training, so it was kind of like I would just like something, sign up for it. It was just a matter of did I like it or not? And I liked it. I'd sign up. I'd talk to 2 or 3 people. They would be skeptical or negative, and they'd shut me down. And I would get discouraged after a month or 2, and I would quit. And never made a penny, never signed anybody up. I'd go to a couple events. I started listening to training audios. And back then it was on cassette tapes. So I was learning. There's a mountain in Phoenix called Squaw Peak. It's now called Piestewa Peak. And it's about a 30-minute hike to the top. It's a hike. It's a strenuous hike. And I would have my yellow Sony Walkman and cassette tapes and listen to training and started to train myself. I started reading books. And then I joined my second company, then my third company. They all had their story. I never made a penny in any one of them. I was growing and learning along the way. That was my university. But it was 10 years, 11 companies. I joined my 12th company, and I was prepared when I joined my 12th company. I was 34 years old, living in an enclosed garage. My rent was $200 a month. I had 2 roommates that lived in the house. I had a Jeep that I had owned for 3 years that had been broken down for 2 years. I couldn't afford to fix it. $36,000 in credit card debt on 22 credit cards. Back in the beginning, back then in the 80s, if you had one credit card that had a $500 limit and you were making your payments on time, they would send you pre-approved applications for other credit cards. So I just kept ordering and ordering and ordering and ordering. And over the course of time, I collected 22 credit cards and maxed them all out. And most of the maxing out was from joining network marketing companies, buying products, buying training, going to events. So that was my university, $36,000 on 22 credit cards.
It was like your college tuition, your 30.
That was my college tuition. And I will tell you this, when you're in it, when you're living in the world of struggle and it's real, it's discouraging and it's hard. Like, it's real easy to talk about on a podcast many years later.
Right.
When you're eating macaroni, I was buying 3 boxes of macaroni and cheese for $1.
Yeah. When you're immersed in it, like when you're in the thick of the storm, right?
Yeah.
That's typically when people quit, by the way. And so you saw that through.
Yeah. And I had an ATM card and I was banking at First Interstate Bank, which became Wells Fargo. It kept keeping my bank card because I'd be bouncing checks. Like, I was bouncing every month, bouncing multiple checks. And then I would go into the bank and want to get my ATM card back because I needed it. And they wouldn't give it back to me because I had so many outstanding checks and I couldn't afford the fees. And it was just an ongoing avalanche of stressful situations that I put myself in. I had a job at the time with the airlines. I was with a startup airline. When I joined them, they had 180 employees in one plane. And we grew into a major airline, America West Airlines, which ultimately got acquired by US Air. And then eventually they got sucked up by American Airlines. But I was the 180th employee at that airline, and they gave us stock options, which never came to fruition. But I got paid at my peak at that airline. After 13 years, I made 28 grand a year. That was when I was in my late 20s, early 30s. And then the airline filed bankruptcy and cut my pay in half. So when I was living in that garage with the $36,000 in credit card debt and the broken down Jeep, my income was $14,000 a year.
Wow.
And that's when I joined my 12th network marketing company, which exploded. And it was partly about the company. It was a great company at the right time, great leadership. I joined at a good time. All of it was great timing. However, I had been preparing for 10 years. I'd been learning for 10 years and I was ready, and I cracked the code and I figured it out, and I started bringing new people in and helping them get started. And I ended up making $8 million. I was living in the garage making $30,000 a month. I made $8 million in that company.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And I would still be there today if they hadn't shut down. They shut down after 16 years in business because they were a technology company, and technology was moving so fast. Everything went from analog to digital.
Right.
And any business that was run on analog technology was out of business within months. And we were one of those. We had hundreds of millions of dollars in mechanical switches, and they were all over the world. And overnight, those switches became obsolete and everything went digital. And just like if you owned a record player company and then somebody invented the CD, you were out of business. There was no way you were going to transition from record players to CDs.
Yeah, absolutely.
During that time that you were eating macaroni and cheese and having the $14,000 and all the debt and you couldn't drive a car, all the things,
right?
What was going through your head? Like, there's so many people right now that are probably in that same position. They're like, I can't afford to even join another company. What do I do? What kind of things were going through your head during that time?
You know, I always went back. I didn't consciously do it, but the drive to have a residual income was so strong. Okay. Let me share a quick story. I've never told this story before, but it's just a little thing I realized yesterday. When I was in college, I tried to take extra units my first 3 years so that I could take my 4th year off. I wanted to coast my 4th year. And when I think about it, that's kind of what I wanted to do in business.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of the same. It's like the way I'm kind of wired. So my life has been really, really off the charts amazing. Since I was 37 years old, I had one hiccup between now and I turned 67 years old on Sunday.
Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
So,
you don't even look 50.
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
From 37 to 67, how many years is that? 30?
Yeah.
30 years, right? My life has been a dream life. And you know, Tina, you know what my life looks like. I mean, I'm doing things for the past 30 years. I've been doing things that a job could have never, ever, ever allowed me to do. I've got great friends all over the world. I've flown on private jets. I don't know how many times, at least 100, maybe more.
Yeah.
I give away more money in a year than I used to make at my job, all that stuff. And I live life on my terms, so I still work. I work about 2 to 3 hours a day. This is the first thing I had going today, and it's almost noon.
Yeah.
I exercise and I enjoy life. And when my mother and father were sick, the two of them, my dad had heart issues, my mom had Alzheimer's, and for 13 years, their lives were slipping away, and they were in Chicago and I was out west. And because of this business, I was able to once or twice a month, I could get on an airplane, not have to worry about the money side of it or the time, because of the life I built, because I focused on residual income. And I was able to spend many, many, many hours with both my mother and my father in their final days for 10 years. And then before that, my dad would come to Vegas. I have a place in Vegas, and he would come to Vegas at least once a year, sometimes twice a year. And we would just hang out for a week and go see the shows and have great dinners and do the things that he wanted to do. And we just had a great.
I met your dad one time because right before he passed, didn't we send him all a bunch of cards and gifts? And he had all these like coffee cards because he loved like Dunkin' Donuts or something.
This is mind blowing. My dad for 20 years used to go to Dunkin' Donuts. He'd walk there from our home in Park Forest, Illinois, and he'd meet his friends and he'd get a coffee and his newspaper. And that was every day for many years. And so on his birthday, I was speaking, his 80th birthday was coming up, and I was speaking on stage in front of a couple thousand people that all had the ability to do some things. So they all sent, not all of them, but he received 1,000 birthday cards from all over the world, and 600 of the cards had Dunkin' Donuts gift cards in them.
Oh my goodness. Dunkin' Donuts for life.
He had $5,000 worth of Dunkin' Donuts gift cards.
I love it. I love
Never
it.
paid for coffee or a newspaper again in his
I
life.
did. And he was paying like for his friends coffee
Yes,
all
yes.
the time.
So I have video of him actually opening the box with the cards and opening a few of the cards. I've got some really cool video of that.
So you are living the life that you wanted. You worked a good majority of your life, half your life, and then having the other half, you can live the life that you've always dreamed of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So Jordan, I have to ask, because we were talking about this right before we went live. We've been in some of the same circles. I've watched you on stage many years ago when I started to make my own kind of shift into some new things and in the network marketing space. My wife and I, we love travel, right? So that was one of the things that really pulled us in. We love the idea of freedom and working from our laptops on any beach. Mm-hmm. And so I purchased your book, the first edition originally, right? So here's your second edition. And so let's dive in just a little bit. Obviously, your achievements go way above and beyond everything that even this book entails. But this really captures, in my opinion, the journey and the ultimate goal that you always had in mind, right?
I map out my journey in that book. So, you'll see all the setbacks. You'll see all the hilarious struggles, like some of the things that are just so absurd. It's all.
Do you remember the postcards you had on the wall of the people you needed to get into your business? Or
Yeah, no, when I was living in that garage, I met this guy that taught me, and he was very successful, very young, married with a little baby, living in a mansion, and in his 20s. He taught me that if I showed it 100 times, that I would reach the top position in the company. If I showed my business. And so I drew a grid on my wall, a 3-foot by 4-foot grid, and I divided it into 100 squares. And then every time I would share the business, I would write a date. So if it was like I do 3 lunches that week, I did 3 lunches. So I held myself accountable. If I only did 1 presentation that week, I needed to make sure and make that up the next week. So I would put dates into the calendar. Well, in that company, we needed 20 customers in order to qualify. So at the top of the chart, I wrote find 20. This is on the wall in the garage, right? Right above my bed. I wrote find 20. And the top position in the company was executive director, which in the initials is ED, executive director. So at the bottom of the chart, I wrote ED. And so I have find 20, ED for executive director. And then I also wrote up there, have fun. So now I've got all these little dates in the boxes, right? And I've got Fine 20, ED, have fun. And then I was single and I'd meet a girl and like her. And so eventually she'd be back at the rental, and I'd be giving her a little tour of the house. And she saw this big grid over the bed, all these dates in it, which says Fine 20. Like, who's Ed down here? I went out with that girl. She didn't want to come back after that.
That is hilarious.
I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. Before we dive back in, I want to share something I've seen again and again. When business feels stuck, it's not always strategy. It's often misalignment. That's what inspired me to create the Universal Brand Alignment Method. It's a course that helps entrepreneurs reconnect with who they truly are and how they're meant to lead so that their message finally lands. So if you're ready for your brand to reflect your truth, then head to brandingcollaborative.com/alignment. That's brandingcollaborative.com/alignment. Now, let's get back to the conversation.
There's a chapter specifically in the book, chapter 10, and it's something that, again, was transformational for me at that time. Still applies today, right? And with the people listening, but it talked a great deal about minor shift. And so there's this cliche or this phrase that's constantly used. It's always easier said than done, right? When people say, oh, it's easier said than done. But in that book, you talked about to have that shift, and no, it's easy to say, it's easy to do. You want to expand on that a little bit?
I'm sitting on the 3rd floor. It's not a large home. It's 2,800 square feet. It's not small, but it's not large. And it's in Jerome, in the little old ghost town of Jerome, up here in the mountains in Arizona. There's a door right here that leads to the deck on the 3rd floor, and it looks directly out over Sedona. So if you look that way, you'll see Sedona. And then on the other side of the mountain is Prescott, Arizona, and then I can see the peaks of Flagstaff. Well, I was getting ready to leave on a 2-week trip, and that door was open. And while I was getting ready to leave for 2 weeks, a hummingbird flew in and flew right over to this picture window here behind me to my left. And he was like really fast, and I'm packing, downstairs, and he's over here, and I'm trying to get him to go. I left the door open hoping that he would fly out the door, but he never did. And now I got to get going, and because I got to catch a flight, and he's wanting to fly out that window. And I knew that if I left, he'd be dead on the window. But anyway, took me 2 hours. Finally, he got so tired that I was able to get him to sit up on the little picture and take him over, and he flew away. It made me think, that little hummingbird, in its effort to escape through that window, its struggle to escape through that window, he would have died. So one direction leads to death and represents struggle. The other direction, 10 feet away, leads to freedom and is effortless. And so it's a flip. It's a flip of a switch. The people that do well in sales and network marketing and in some businesses, they all go through seemingly insurmountable struggles. Everybody does. But part of it is tapping into a shift in mindset that will allow you to effortlessly fly to freedom. Because once you start having success, it really is, once you figure it out and crack the code, as long as you stick with it, you'll be able to crack that code. And I'll tell you a couple other quick stories. But that hummingbird it didn't need a better flying coach. It didn't need to know how to fly. It knows how to fly fine.
Yeah.
It needed to shift its attention to it in a little bit different direction. And in network marketing, that doesn't mean finding a new company. That means focusing on the things that the successful people focus on. They're giving you everything if you'll just open your mind and accept it as the truth. This is what I need to do to build a business.
Or stop reinventing the wheel, because so many people try to do that too.
So I got my helicopter license at the age of 57 years old. People in their 50s, 40s, they don't get their helicopter license. Typically, it's people in their 20s that get their helicopter license. So when I went in, it was a dream that I had. When I went in and told them that I wanted to do this, they were young guys in their 20s, and they kind of laughed. They snickered a little bit because I was in my late 50s. And it took me 2 years. It was the hardest thing by far I ever learned to do. It was the biggest challenges I've ever experienced in my life in accomplishing a dream. But I made a decision that no matter how hard it was going to get, I wasn't going to quit. So there were so many times that I almost would start to feel sick, but I wasn't sick. But I used that as an excuse to maybe not go in, but I knew that I had to keep going back. There were scary things you need to learn to do. Like,
Yes.
for example, I mean, I've got my flight review coming up at the end of March, and it's every 2 years. I've done it for years, and it's always fine, but everybody gets the butterflies.
Mhm.
And, there's a part of you like, maybe the weather won't be good and I won't, because it's like you're scared. There's certain things you have to do. Like, I'm going to have to get up there with an instructor and do some things. So anyway, it's complicated. There's a lot to learn. You have to dial into the skills. You have to pass all the written tests. There's volumes of things to learn. And that's just one thing. That's just learning to fly a helicopter. But unless you keep going back and doing it, you can't learn it in a classroom. You have to go back and do it over and over and over and over and over again for months and years. You won't be able to live that dream. So it's the same thing in network marketing. And it won't take you 10 years. It won't take you 10 years. The training is way better today. Back then, there were 3 books written on network marketing. Today, there's probably thousands of books.
Yes, absolutely. All the information's at your fingertips. But I love what you said. No matter how much we immerse ourselves in education, or we're learning a skill set or anything, just a natural ability even, it's just a slight shift. It's that hummingbird that constantly is pounding against the glass. How often do you hear, I work really, really hard. I'm working really hard. I just can't experience the breakthrough, when really they are the hummingbird, right? It's like working hard. All they had to do was shift over a couple more feet and they fly off to freedom. And I love that analogy so much. So yeah, I appreciate that. What you talk also a great deal about 3 major steps that you take, right? To really break things down. You talk about 3 easy steps. What do you want to do? We hear that often. The number 2 was, what activities will I take? But 3, the third step is something you do not hear often. And I love to hear your live take on this. And that is, you talked about releasing and letting go, letting the universe provide the resources. And I think, man, Jordan, I think that is huge. Being someone that's very connected with life, energy, my faith, and everything else. So often in business, we forget to just release and let go. And so how's that applied in your success?
Yeah, because interesting, because I'm a member of a BNI chapter, Business Network International. There's 10,000 meetings that happen weekly all over the world. And I've been a member for 18 years, and it's an opportunity for me to network and meet people, new people every week, and a lot of the same people, and we refer business to each other and all that kind of stuff. Well, I go from the mountains here in Arizona or Las Vegas to Phoenix. I fly to Phoenix every single week for my meeting from Vegas, or I drive from here. So it's a long journey for me to go there and back. It's worth it for me, but it's a long journey. And they track your stats, like your referrals and your education and your thank you for closed business and your visitors. So all that stuff gets tracked. And for 5 weeks in a row, I hit the top rank in the, and it means nothing. Like you don't get anything other than the accolades of having your name up on the screen.
Right.
But 5 weeks in a row, I hit all my numbers. And then I decided I'm going to start tracking. So I was like making sure for the 2 weeks after that, I was making sure all my numbers were on and putting in like I was consciously doing it. And 2 weeks in a row, I didn't hit my numbers. And then it was like when I wasn't thinking about it and I was just doing the good work, that's all you need to do consistently. And it really is. It's like when you're struggling, that struggle actually constricts the blood flow of your business. So you don't operate in a productive way when you're in the state of struggle. So
it's that desperation, like people see your desperation, so they don't want to do business with you.
Right. Yeah. So it's so funny because I let go of it. It's like I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to do the work. And if I hit the numbers, I hit the numbers. And that's how it is in my business as well. Goals. I love dreams. Dreams are inspiring, right? So right. I think you should write down some of your dreams and have 3 dreams, even if they're a little bit of a stretch. 3 dreams every year that you write down or you cut out of magazines or whatever that you look at all the time, whether you believe you can do it or not. Have 3 dreams for the year, every year, 3 dreams. And then release on how you're going to do it. Then just go do the work.
Oh, I love that. And when you really peel back the layers, sometimes it's really simplistic in the fact that, in order to have more numbers or more invites in the B&I example, it means more relationships and meeting more people. So by releasing, you're doing the thing that's probably the fun part of what we do. It's
Right.
I just need to talk to more people, say hello to more people, have more lunches with individuals. Like, it's that basic. And we really do try to overcomplicate things. I have two sides of my business. Starr, I know you're shaking your head because, when your business really starts to grow, you start really governing the metrics. And when you get so immersed in, that tunnel vision into those metrics, you start to actually see the business slip a little bit. And then when you look at the patterns, you go, wow, my greatest month was when I was on vacation, talking to a lot of people and introducing a lot of people to something.
So successful business is not transactional, it's relational.
It is.
Yes, relationships.
And as soon as you start getting too transactional in your business, especially in today's world, because of social media and AI, people are getting just bombarded with marketing messages, thousands a day. In fact, when I was a kid, we would get maybe between advertising, like on television, radio, newspaper, billboards, we get probably 500 marketing messages a day. Today, we're getting tens of thousands a day, everybody. And everything is so transactional. People have slipped way away from the relationship side of the business. When you focus on the relationship side of the business, and transactions are important, but they have to be on the radar, but they can't be the main thing. Like people that come to me and say, what do I need to do to sell more of XYZ? Or what do I need to do to get my people to? That's transactional. It's like they're wanting me to give them something that they can say or do to be more successful, where it's really more about tapping into the connection that you have with other people.
When you have those connections, that's why people have coffee chats and meet with people. Then there's that trust factor there. Well, if I don't need your services or products, at least I know I can refer someone over to you.
Back in the day, there was 7. Remember, we used to show people there were 7 to 12 touches before you were able to get that sale, and now it's like 27 to like 39 or something like that touches. I'm like, oh wow, that's a lot. But a lot of people gave up during the 7 to 12 touches. They're not even trying to.
The sad thing, Tina, is that people are actually tracking that, which means they're already failing. Right. Because if they made it organic and they really,
I have him as an 11.
Yeah. Just have more conversations. And Jordan, you were going to say something just then. I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So what I was going to say, it just kind of perfect segue. I'm all about personal branding. I talk about personal branding daily. It's what I speak on. It's what I write on. It's something I absolutely am passionate about. And so I know that I've seen a great deal of a shift. You're talking about relationship building, not making it transactional. Starr, you talked about know, like, and trust. So let's throw that out there. What do you have to say about today's market and how powerful and important personal branding is? Because, back in the day, no one was branding themselves when it came to network marketing, right?
Yeah. I work for such and such.
Right. So is your question about?
I've heard you talk quite a lot about personal branding as well, and branding. Tell us a little bit more about how you think that is instrumental in today's world.
Okay, I'm going to go because I usually do this. I usually tell stories.
All right, I love it.
Yeah. So I'm going to use the Pumpkin Man. When I was in Phoenix, living in Phoenix many years ago, there was a realtor that used to wear all orange. Every time you'd see him, he was wearing orange. Everyone in Phoenix knew who this guy was. And what he would do is he would rent a flatbed and pile it up with pumpkins. And then he would go in a parade that happened around Halloween. He would take pumpkins and hand them to people in the crowd. And then the news was there and they would photograph it and they'd put it in the newspaper. And he became known as the Pumpkin Man. And he was a realtor. And so he became one of the top realtors in Phoenix because of that. That's an extreme example, but it's like, and you don't have to be the Pumpkin Man, but it's all about how do you want people to view you as a business owner? And how are they going to remember you?
Oh, that's so true.
For me, because of the business that I'm in, I want to be known as the person that helps people connect with others in a meaningful way. And someone who teaches people how to have a residual income. Beach money is a kind of a manifestation of who I want, how I want the world to see me. And then you just collect stories that are in alignment with what you're up to in life and share those stories. So
I love it. And such an organic approach, right? When you think of it that way. And most of us are in this digital space now. We're not doing the living room presentations like we used to. And so to build that know, like, and trust factor, it's even more critical that people see kind of who you are, what you're involved in, what you're passionate about, how you're helping and serving others. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
I'll just give you some examples. So when you think of Tony Robbins, what's like a one or two words that describe Tony?
Firewalker.
Firewalker all day. Yeah.
That's part of his brand.
Yeah.
Right? There's probably 3 to 5 things that if you asked 100 people about Tony Robbins, they'd be the same 3 to 5 things. That's how Tony has branded himself. What if I said Pitbull? Do you know what Pitbull is?
305.
Yeah.
Bald head and
glasses,
sunglasses, bald head.
Yeah.
And he's a great dancer.
Yes.
Right? And he's got a positive attitude.
Yeah, Mr. Worldwide.
And he's Mr. Worldwide, right?
Yeah.
Right. What about Brad Pitt?
A movie star like Ocean's 11.
Yeah, I mean, I would associate it with all of those, quite honestly.
They all have their brand, and they're easily recognizable by their brand.
Yeah.
I mean, you could list Gary Vaynerchuk. You could list Martha Stewart. You could go on and on, right? They all have their brand, and they're all unique. Like Pitbull and Martha Stewart are not the same brand.
Yeah.
Right.
And you have your brand as well.
Yeah.
Now, your brand may not be very well defined, but you want to kind of like, as you're moving through life and doing your business, your brand should not be your company.
Yes.
Your brand should be you.
Absolutely.
And if you're using ChatGPT, if some of you are, you could go on there right now and say, based on what you know about me, what would you say my personal brand is?
Exactly.
Based on what you know about me. If you're using it, you've been putting stuff in there, and it will go through all that you put in there, and it will tell you what your personal brand is. And you can go, you know what? That's not what I want it to be. I want it to be something else, and you can change it.
That is so true. And again, what that allows you to do, like when you're working on your personal brand, like you're saying, Jordan, that when people shift, like businesses, they're eliminated through acquisition, products and services aren't available anymore. For legal reasons, things shift and change. So, products and services, they come and go. But if you've done a great job in building your brand, right? I'll just kind of throw this back up here for your sake. You could go on to any type of product, service, anything that you're doing, and people still know who you are, that you have the know, like, trust factor. You're credible based on your experience and the things that you've shared, and they know that you care, right? I mean, and so that's just so critical. And I think the people at the very top in network marketing now are the ones that actually understood it, and they got the fact that, yes, they're representing a product and services brand as well, but they needed to continue to build their own brand.
Yeah, and I want to make sure this is very clear to everybody that's watching this, is that you don't need to have a personal brand to get started. Like, you can start making money now. You can make $100 this week, $100 next week, and $100 the week after, right now, without having a personal brand. But just be aware that you want to begin to figure out what your brand is and what you want to represent and how you want to be viewed in the world. And there's a reason I wear sunglasses. Besides the fact that I like it, there's a reason I wear some. They're prescription, but that's part of my brand.
Yeah, I love it. And you're right. People recognize you like from all over the place. You also have mentioned this a few times, and so I'd like your take and play expanding on this. You've mentioned that to never lose an opportunity. So when you meet people, someone that's just getting started, right? Whether they're just getting started or they've reached kind of a lull in their business, you've talked about saying things like, I'd love to get together with you and get your idea on something. I've heard you say that a few times in regards to, I'd just like to get your take and really make it conversational and truly asking for their input, right? So
I'll tell you where that came from. When I was in corporate America, before I had any success in network marketing, I was involved with the airline, and because we were very small, you could start departments. I taught a class that had to do with management development, and I don't even remember what the name of the class was, but there were 3 key principles: maintain self-esteem, listen and respond with empathy, and ask for help in solving the problem. I remember those 3 things. Maintain self-esteem. This is when you're communicating with another person. Ask for help in solving the problem, and listen and respond with empathy, and then ask for help in solving the problem.
Okay,
And when I think about it, like it's all about personal connection. So no matter what somebody's lease on life is, when you stop and say, tell me what you think about this. In fact, if you listen to the most successful business leaders, they spend a lot of time asking people, what do you think? I want your,
what do you think?
I'd love to get your input.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll say, I'd love to show you what I do. And I'm not expecting you to ever do business with me. Maybe we'll do business, maybe not. But I'd love to show you what I do and have you give me advice on what you think. If this were your business, how would you grow it? How would you grow it? Like, what ideas do you have that maybe I'm missing?
I
So
love that.
it's essentially asking for help in solving the problem. It's that third one on those 3 key principles. So I do that a lot. I ask people a lot for their opinion. I want to hear what other people think and how they perceive it and whether they have any ideas.
Yeah, I love that. And I think John Maxwell talks a great deal about his success being built around always, who do you know? Let me get your input. Let me throw something by you. Let me ask you a question. And so I think it's really important to always surround yourself with those thought leaders that have already been where you want to go, and to ask them those questions. Like there's so much value and wisdom in that.
And it's a great way to build relationships with people that have more success than you.
You're not trying to get them into your business. I mean, you are on the back end. You're just asking their opinion, and they might tell you something that you're like, oh, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, sometimes it builds a much deeper relationship with people, and you learn things along the way.
I mean, yeah, the greatest buy-in is to ask someone what their advice is. So I would like to know what your advice is on this product, service, or thing that I'm working on. Yeah, there's probably no better value than that. I tell you what, we could probably talk for hours because there's so much value in what you bring. And you've been in the industry, just business in general. I know we talk a great deal about network marketing, but everything that you bring to the table, Jordan. So, for those that have never read your book, Beach Money, I say, even if you're not in network marketing and you just have your own brick and mortar business, or you're looking to expand into thought leadership and some other things, like, read this book, because there's some principles there that, in my opinion, you break down the complex and you make it just simplistic and very relationship driven.
I believe in simplicity. And also I want to make sure everyone knows there's 2 books. There's Beach Money, which is the original, but then I have a second book called Better Than Beach Money.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I haven't read it yet. So shame on me.
Yeah, they look similar, but they're different books.
Okay.
And then also they're both on Audible.
Oh, good.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
I want to make sure everybody knew about that. Yeah.
Excellent. And
I have one last question. So those people that are out here listening that are struggling in network marketing, or struggling to build a business, or in that space where you were 30 years ago, they have credit card debt. They're trying, they have a full-time job. They have a family. They're trying to just make it.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give to them?
My advice would be, don't quit on a bad day.
Oh,
Everybody quits on a bad day, and usually when you're in breakdown, this came from Tony Robbins. When you're in breakdown, it means you're getting ready to have a breakthrough.
yes.
oh, well, I mean, you're a living example of that, Jordan. 11 businesses, and the 12th business brought you from poverty to being a multimillionaire. So, I mean, when you think about that perspective, you could have quit in the 11th hour, but you kept pushing through.
Yeah, and we're human. Our emotions go up and down, sometimes day to day. Sometimes we have high emotions and low emotions multiple times in one day. Yeah. There are many days that you're not going to feel like working your business, but the people that make it work their business even when they're not feeling it. It's not about how you're feeling, whether you work or not. It's about what you're committed to. Make your decisions to build your business based on what your commitment is, not based on how you're feeling. And that would be the advice I would give somebody that is struggling.
Wow.
Jordan, I noticed that a lot of network marketers are struggling right now. Some of these companies have changed to affiliate marketing or they've shut down. So a lot of people feel defeated. But one thing you mentioned about that 12th company that you got with is that you got in the right place at the right time and you noticed that they had strong leadership. What advice do you have for our audience to make a decision, because maybe they've been hopping around to different companies to finalize the company that they should? Because you said one thing, right? Whatever company you choose can work, but they're just stuck on choosing that company.
Yeah. First of all, if at any point in your life you are in alignment with the company you represent, in alignment with what their values and the product and all those kinds of things, if you were in alignment, but then one thing happened that pissed you off or caused you to get discouraged or whatever, that's not a reason to leave the company and go find another company. What most people do is, if they go back, they'll go company to company to company to company, and they're looking for the right company for them. And that's not the answer, because at one point when you joined the company, it was the right company for you. The answer is to walk through the fire. That means to get with the people you need to get with. You need to be the cause. Like, I started looking at it this way. By the time I got to my 12th company, I need to be the cause for the success of the company.
Yes.
I need to be the one that if I was not there, the company doesn't succeed. You can do that. I was not the great representation for somebody who's going to build a successful network marketing business. I was in so many companies, but I started realizing that if I build a big network of people, that's going to help the company grow. That is going to be the growth of the company. Today, 97% of our company is my organization.
Wow.
And in my last company, it was a percentage of the company.
Yeah.
But if your company is making changes, you want to really get to understand and see if there's still a fit for you. And if not, then sometimes you do have to make a move. But just be careful, because sometimes we trick ourselves into thinking that it's not the right company anymore. And really it is. It's just you need to get on the other side of your struggle.
Yeah.
And embrace change. I think I met you 17 or 18 years ago. And the company that we were in had so many changes, and so quickly, because social media and all
and
this.
It's going to happen faster, even faster, because
it's
of the
going to
world.
continue to happen. Yeah.
I remember so many people were like, no, I don't want change, and I'm like, no, this is good.
Yeah, we're a better company today than we were back then, but without change, it wouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
So true. Just continue to build and cultivate those relationships.
And remember, your network goes with you. You've heard your network is your net worth. Your network is your security. Your security is not found in your company. It's not found in your compensation plan. It's not found in your product. It's found in your relationships and connections with other people. Yeah.
Wow. So true. So true. Thank you so much, Jordan. Today has been a wealth of knowledge. And now I know I need to go buy another book. Right? And I will. By the time that you and I talk next, I'll have gone through that.
Actually, Tina, you get cards from me, right, Tina?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I just got my first one in a long time. I don't know how you got my new address.
I must have it, but if you get me everyone's address, I will mail my new book to all three of you.
Oh, thank
he's
you.
such a nice guy.
Thank you. And I will pay that forward. So thank you so much, Jordan.
Really quickly. So I have 3 boys, 2 of my younger kids. They're now 25 and 26. Jordan literally mentored them for years, and they brought him on stage and had him do things for him. And one of the things that they remember is that you showed them this Titanic watch, that you had like the stuff from Titanic, and they were like, one day, Mom, I'm gonna get a watch, and it was like $50,000 or whatever it was, and they were like, Mom, one day,
I still have that watch.
You still have it?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
I remember.
Tell them I said hello.
I will. It's just the little things like that you build relationships with, that so many people down the road that you may not even know you have helped throughout the years. You have helped.
Yeah.
And those relationships are definitely key.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Jordan. We're going to have you on definitely in the future, plus many other opportunities for other collaborative podcasts that we're involved in, and some great things coming up. But you bring a great deal of value to so many, whether you're brand new in business or those that have been in business for a while, like ourselves. And so I definitely will take this with me today. For those that would like to connect more with Jordan, obviously you can find him all across social media and just by even Googling his name, but find a little bit more about Jordan and follow him on Instagram at Beach Money Jordan. You can find him there. And again, appreciate it. We look forward to talking with you soon. We'll see you all next week.
Bye, guys.
Hi, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Uncensored Entrepreneurs. If you're getting value from the show, take a minute to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you tune in. It helps more bold entrepreneurs find us. Until next time, keep showing up, uncensored and unapologetic. And we'll catch you on the next episode.